Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Norrie Hope, and I have a little business called Heartland Travel, and we do tours of Scotland. But more specifically for you guys, we do a 3-day Highlands, Isle of Skye, and Loch Ness tour. Now, conveniently, our tours pick up on a Friday from Stirling University, and we drop back off again on the Sunday. Now, we will leave Stirling and we're going to head across what's known as the Highland Line, and that will take us into the Southern Highlands of Scotland, the beautiful Southern Highlands. We're going to travel through the beautiful Southern Highlands until we find ourselves in the Northern Highlands, and eventually to one of my favourite parts of Scotland, a place called Glen. Now, we're not the kind of company that likes you just sitting on a bus looking out a window. We like to get you off the bus as much as possible to go for big walks or to have picnics in beautiful locations. Now, from Glencoe, we will then head for a very important part of Scotland called Glenfinnan. Now, in Glenfinnan, in 1745, a young man called Bonnie Prince Charlie rallied the nation in the last of what was known as the Jacobite rebellions. And we'll tell you that story. But you know what? Some of you won't be interested, because Glenfinnan is also where the Harry Potter Bridge is. Oh, Harry Potter. Now, from Glenfinnan, we then head through the Great Glen, Kintail and Glenshiel until we find ourselves in our beautiful accommodation, the Station Master's Lodge. Now, the Station Master's Lodge is in a tiny little village called Stromeferry, which is officially in the middle of nowhere, but a very, very beautiful middle of nowhere. And the accommodation itself is a 130-year-old building that's beautifully appointed. And that's where we're going to stay for 2 nights, and that's where we're going to cook together, eat together, and become friends together. Now, the Station Master's Lodge itself is located right on the banks of one of Scotland's most beautiful lochs, a loch called Loch Carron. Now, the next day, we will then head for the Isle of Skye. Now, Skye itself has got not only some of the most beautiful scenery in the whole of Scotland, in fact, the whole of the UK, in fact, I would argue the whole of Europe. It is just an amazing and magical, truly magical place. And we're going to show you some of the best of those locations. And I'll show you some of the pictures of places we will visit. There is the Cuillin Mountains of Skye. There are some people enjoying the Cuillin Mountains. It's a cow on a beach. Now, that, ladies and gentlemen, is a picture of the fairy pools of Skye. Some of you may have heard of it. Now, going back maybe 8 or 9 years ago, there was nobody really went to the fairy pools of Skye. But it appeared on the internet going back then, and it gets shared more and more on social media until it becomes this must-see location on the island, if not on the island, the whole of Scotland. And we will visit the fairy pools of Skye. That's Coral Beach. Now, what you're looking at there is the Fairy Glen. Now, for me, the Fairy Glen isn't this huge, spectacular area, but for me, it is by far the most magical place of the island. It's just a wonderful little place. And that's one of the locations we will be visiting while we're there. There's a picture of the Kerrang. There's some people enjoying the very, very spectacular Kerrang. Now, if you look in the distance there, that photograph there, you can see that large rock needle that stands almost defying gravity. That is what's known as the Old Man of Storr. Now, the next picture I've got gives you an idea of the scale of it, because it's a much closer photograph. You can see it there. Now, if you look very carefully at the bottom, you can see my tour group waving. Now, on the 3rd day, we leave our accommodation and we head for the world-famous Loch Ness. The beautiful and world-famous Loch Ness. It has a monster, and I've seen it, and I'll tell you all about that when you're on my tour. Now, about 4 or 5 years ago, I had a young girl when we left Stirling, this young girl said to me, "When do we go to Loch Ness, Norrie?" And I said, "Well, we go there on the last day." And she said to me, "Could I swim in Loch Ness?" I said, "You can do what you like, you're an adult." But I said, "It's going to be really, really cold. It's one of the coldest lochs in the whole of Scotland." But she insisted she was going to do that, and that's what she did. She swam in Loch Ness on the last day. So I told this to the following group the next week, and I said, "There was this mad girl and she swam in Loch Ness." And 4 people said to me, "Norrie, can we do that?" And I said, "Of course you can." And now it's become a thing. In fact, if I do a tour and no one swims in Loch Ness, I'm always a little bit disappointed. So there's a picture of some young people running in to swim in Loch Ness, and the next picture, they're running straight back out again. Now, our groups, and on our bus we only have 16 passengers, so we're small group tours, and the price for our tours is £134 per person for tour and transport, and our accommodation is £25 per night for the 2 nights that you're staying there, and that is paid on arrival. Now we have 346 5-star reviews on TripAdvisor. We have 3 4-star reviews, and we have nothing less than that. Those 3 4-star reviews were like a knife in my heart. But when you do read through them, what you're going to see is a lot of the students are telling us that one of the best experiences they had here in Scotland was on our 3-day tour. Now there, ladies and gentlemen, is our web address. Now if you go on to www.heartlandtravel.co.uk and go on to our 3-day Highlands tour, you can see the full itinerary of everywhere we go, and also down the bottom of that page you'll find the booking system. Now we're not going to do as many weekends as we would normally do because obviously because of COVID there's been less people here, but we're still going to do quite a few. So my advice would be get on and book as quick as you can. You will book your each individual seat on our booking system. Listen, thank you very much for your time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on tour. Thank you.